It is a pleasure to be here and talk a little bit about kind of gonna give an overview of organic weed management and emerging technology. It's a very broadly topic, kind of like gonna try summarize in 30 minutes. Um, let's see here. So I would like to start just to show like this report from the Organic Farm Research Foundation, where I show that weed management it's a big challenge for pretty much ever organic growers behind only soil health. And actually that is a big needs of more research on those fields. And weed management never get easy. Even like for very experienced growers, they have challenge. Like not only young farmers, but like experienced farmers, they also report that weed management is still a big challenge for every single farm. I like to show this picture. This is one of farm here in Lake County. I bet you guys cannot know what crop we have here. And actually, this is a pear orchard. It's full with blackberry, organic pear orchard. They grow kind of like lose control a little bit, and sometimes it's hard to actually manage like in short term and long term weed management, and still have like a crop production, a quality. Be efficient. Definitely in that kind of system, you're not gonna be efficient. It's pretty much impossible to go on the field and pick the pears on the harvest season in a situation like that. And it's not economic viable, and it definitely is not sustainable. Well, why it's so important to control weeds? I already showed that preview picture, but also your weeds is gonna compete with your crop. For example, this is like a pokeweed. You see they can grow like very close to the tree, and they're gonna compete for light. They're gonna compete like for nutrient, for water, and and everything, all the goods that the plant's gonna take. And this is like a perfect example of competition. And it's like a perennial plant that it's very aggressive. They go dormant like on the winter and come very strong early spring. And like in a couple months, like every day, if you go in the field, you're gonna see they are like more big and big. Like when get to the summer, it's like 9 feet, 10 feet tall. It's like incredible how some weeds can compete and grow so fast in the season. So also can actually be shelved for pests like vertebrata and invertebrate pests, or even like some host for some disease. And I always say like the first step you have to understand the plant physiology, the weed physiology. You have to know your weeds, what kind of weeds you have in your crop. Like if it's a grass, if it's a broadleaf, or if a type of sad, if it's an annual or perennial, if a winter or a summer weed. What kind of germination, if like a germinate by seed or by vegetative propagation, if a simple plant or if a creeping. It is important also to know like the weak point. So for example, where is the meristem, if it's on the top of the plant or it's on the base, for example, broadleaf and grass, and vice versa. So definitely nowadays with the technology, with all the advances on AI, you can find like sometime identify weeds, use your phone in a simple Google search, at least in most case, but it's still important like to get confirmation when sometimes you use your phone, you have like a rough idea, and it's important to go like in a book or some website or talk with your farmer advisor to get a correct identification. And that is a ton of resource available for farm to identify the weeds. Like on the Weed Research and Information Center, we have like some tools that help you guys identify your weeds. You see IPM, you're gonna find so many resources on how to identify and how to manage it properly. If you're like a very small farm or a homeowner, you also can ask Master Gardening. But yeah, you see have so many resources that can help you guys like identify and manage your weed properly. So when we think like in organic integrate weed management, that is like a few strategy available, primarily like preventer, mechanical. Mechanical, I think, is the most common, but cultural is important. People try use organic herbicide. It's not very common, but it is one tool available. There is some challenge. You have to understand how those products working. Precision ag that I'm gonna talk a little bit more. It's like a field that have to be more explored. And I think with the advantage of AI, I think precision ag will be more used in all level farm system, small, medium, and large farm. Biological control for some specific situation. And we're gonna try cover a little bit of everything. So start with prevention. It's always important. Not let your weeds produce seed. At least try. I know when we talk, it looks like it's easy, but some species actually is pretty much impossible if you mow. Like we always say, yeah, if you're just like doing like a mechanical mower, always like mow before produce seed. But some species we know some species can produce seed even like a very after you mow. Like you mow like a few days late, your weed is gonna produce another seed head. But it is important, at least the majority of the weeds, you're gonna be able to do a good job by mow or doing other mechanical strategy. But in reality, sometimes it's a little more challenging. But it is important to try to prevent as much as you can. There is some biological strategy. Definitely, you have to think on your specific situation. For example, if you're gonna use sheep for graze the weeds, there is some limitation. Time specific, depend which crop do you have. If you are like a grape growers, you have like maybe a little more window to have sheepy on a vineyard. But if you like a fruit grower, sometimes there is more limitation. You have like a limit time you can leave your animal on the field. Also, there is other option like some biological strategies, such like use insect or larvae to damage the weeds. You can use chicken, ducks, and there is many other options, but it's very specific and there is some limitation. Each one, definitely you have to assess which one would be the best option that you can implement in your property. Mechanical and physical, there is many options when we talk about mechanical or physical strategy. And it's always important, like for small farm, they always adopt like manual weed control. And it is just fine. Like any weed can be controlled by hand. It's just like depend, like it's gonna be more time consumed. But if you're a small farm, it's very common. I have a lot of small farm here. They do everything manual. They pull it by hand or they use a hoe like to clean the field in both in annual crop like vegetable crop and also in perennial like to clean around the trees. So mower, I think mower is the most common option among all the organic farmers. And actually with the new equipment available that do like mow like on the tree line or under the vine if you're grape growers, those machines can do a very great job. There is a lot of option available on the market. Normally when the tree is very young, you have some time to come manual with a push mower or with a weed eater. But after the tree gets established, definitely those mowers can do a very great job in a single pass. Cultivation like tiller on the tree line can be an option. Sometimes damage a little bit the root system, but it is an option available, and those machines can do has been doing like a great job as the machine getting better and better and more precise to do that kind of work. You can use shade, solarization, or weed fabric. I always get there is some confusion when we talk about solarization. At least I've been talking with a lot of growers. They associate as the same thing, like solarization. If you use like black fabric or clean plastic or anything, they always call solarization. But there's some, at least scientific terminology. They kind of like do a same job. They're gonna manage the weed. But for example, if you use like clean plastic on the winter, they're not gonna be able to do a good job because you're gonna need like temperature. You're gonna need like the radiation go inside the plastic. Different from the black plastic, that's more like a shade. method, like you're gonna like prevent the light to go in, and you're gonna kill the weeds because the weeds not gonna be able to make photosynthesis. This is a great example of the black plastic. This is one of my farmers here. He used like the black plastic to do weed manage like on the walkway or on the vegetable beds, and he just like moved from one place to other, and actually is able to do a great job. Like if you leave the fabric like during the winter for a couple weeks, you're gonna see like all the weeds start to get white, like all the chlorophyll go away, and you're gonna see only the carotenoid, and over time the weeds is gonna die. I think like for a small farm, like if you buy like a black plastic that's more resistant, you can use like multiple years. Don't try to buy like the very skinny one, the cheap one that's gonna deteriorate with the sun, because those one pretty much you're gonna have to replace every year. But there is some options available that you can use for 3, 4, or 5 years on the field. So Flamey, I always liked this strategy. I done some work when I was back working in Virginia. I know California, we have some limitation to use Flamey as a weed management strategy. Specifically, like on the summer, you're not gonna be able to implement this strategy because it's gonna be a lot of fire hazard. Uh, but overall, I think it's I'll not say cheap, but it's inexpensive strategy compared with others. You're gonna have the equipment is relatively cheap, and you're gonna have expense more with propane. But also there is limitation in terms of weed management. For example, if you have species that it's more like taproot, they're gonna survive really well. For example, if you have like duckweed, like dandelion, buccal plantain, or broadleaf plantain, horseweed, those weeds have a very strong taproot system, and they're gonna emerge back very quickly. Or for example, if you have grasses such as Bermuda grass, Bermuda grass actually love flaming. Like you flame Bermuda grass, like 1 week later, they just start germinate back very quickly. It's very impressive. Actually, if you're doing like in turf management, it's a good strategy like to kill other annual weeds. And actually, Bermuda grass is gonna come very strong and very green, dark green. It's amazing how Bermuda can survive to flame. But again, like California, we have limitation. Probably you're gonna be able to use flaming only like late fall, like winter, and maybe early spring. I don't think there is not a lot of regulation in use flaming because it's not like a pesticide use. It's more like a cultural management strategy. But it's always good to make sure with your Department of Agriculture there's all air quality to see if there is any regulation. But as far as I know, there is no regulation because it's a cultural strategy. It's more like fire hazard. Don't use like on summer, or for example early fall when you still have a lot of skeletal weeds. You might can spark like some fire on your orchard or whatever site you have, and you try to use flame. So compost and as a mulch strategy, I think it's a great strategy because you're gonna suppress the weeds and you're gonna start like build your soil health. There is a lot of question about wood chip because we've seen like a lot of pile of wood chip everywhere, like PG&E. They been like wood chip everything like under the power line, and sometimes they don't have like place to put those things, and people ask like if they can use on the orchard. The question is yes, but we have to be careful to not bring like weed seeds from other place, or maybe like some disease from other place for your orchard. You have to be very careful, and also you have to be aware that wood chip maybe is gonna take some nitrogen from the ground, and you have to supplement at least for the first few years until they start like degrade and release nitrogen as well on the soil. But like in the long term, they do a great job to suppress weed. Uh, um, and yeah, it's like a low degradation. So leaves, I have done like some work. You use like walnut leaves in walnut orchard as a low input strategy for weed management. Specific like in time, like now we had like a couple years of very hard time for walnut growers. and they pretty much was not spraying anything or was not doing anything on the orchard, just like kind of like try manage it as minimal as possible. I've done like some work in conventional and organic to see how the leaves can respond to suppress weeds. And in terms of physical weed management, it's do a great job because you're gonna be able to suppress the weeds pretty good. And also on the literature review show that the leaves might have some potential allelopathic effect because they're gonna release some chemicals like the juglin and might suppress like germination by uh, the release of those compounds on the environment. So this is like some data where I collect like in I I I build like the mulch under the line like in late fall, more like October, November, and like I start collect data in April, May, June, July, and August. And you see like even like August, we still have a very great suppressor of weeds, even with like a 4-inch thickening mulch and 8-inch as well. When we compare like a treatment with treatment, it can do a very great job. So in some situation, it can be a challenge. For example, if we have like wild pig, could be a challenge because you're gonna keep a little more moisture and you're gonna build like those compost like under the tree line. And if you have like wild pig infestation, they're gonna come and try like look for worms and other insect they can eat. And because like the moisture under kind of like attract, and this is I saw like in some of the plot that I put on the field. It also like you have to know again you have to know your weeds. Some weeds is gonna be able to overcome if you have like some perennial weeds like blackberry or even field bindweed. They have a very strong taproot. They're perennial. They have more ability to overcome to the mulch and still growth under this situation. He's like in a conventional orchard because I conduct those trials in organic and conventional, and the growers actually start like he implement on the whole orchard. Even like after I finished my data, and was very interesting to see what they was doing. For example, in this situation, he was able only to do like spot application. That means he was like saving product instead of to do like a full application on the line. And on this other situation, the grower decide have like to have his mulch on the line and he spray like his program like far to the tree line. So that means like he's gonna like avoid any product to get close to the root system or damage the tree. And on the other hand, like this specific grower, he have like his mow is kind of like narrow and he has to do like 2 pass, like go and come back. And now he is able to do only a single mow in a single pass. He's able to mow like the center of the trees. So that means he was able to save like 50% of the time, like label, gas of the tractor and everything. It's kind of like a great idea. And when I saw it and he showed me what he was doing, I was like, oh, I never actually think on that way, but it is a great strategy. So just like back here, I know like if you are like more like in San Joaquin Valley or other areas, you might have like the neighbor orange worm, and a lot of growers they are afraid to use that kind of strategy because the orange worm may overwinter on those material like on the mummies or on the leaves, and maybe it's not a good strategy if you have like infestation of orange worm. But like for Lake County situation, we know we don't have this pass here, and that's why we conduct those trials because we already knew we don't have this pass here. This patch is not gonna overwinter here. And for us, specific situation, it's a great option. And definitely you have to assess if you are like in a place that you have some pest that's gonna overwinter on those kind of material. You might have to consider if actually it's a good strategy or not. So let's talk a little bit about organic herbicide. I know organic herbicide sometimes is a challenge, but I got so many questions about organic herbicide use, and I think I have like the past 5 years I have done so many organic herbicide trial, more than 20 trials. Test different ways to use organic herbicide. And again, like overall organic herbicide, if you don't know much about organic herbicides, it's called like natural herbicide or no synthetic herbicide. It's just like a compound that was purified from some natural source like plants and etc. And there's like so many different products available on the market with different formulation, different concentration, different combination, and etc. And for example, the most common is acetic gas, citric gas, malic gas, caprylic acid, fatty acid, pelargonic acid, ammonium nanoate, clover oil, cinnamon, iru, chelate, and others options. So again, like we do have some pre-emergent herbicide, for example, corn gluten meal, but it's much common like post-emergent. And those herbicides, first, they are only contact. They have no soil residue. They have no systemic activity on the plant. They pretty much is gonna contact the plant. They're gonna like kill they're gonna destroy the cell walls and it's gonna over like very quickly they're gonna be able to kill the plant by desiccation. And this is like a great example. This is one of my plots where I spray like suppress this like caprylic acid and capric acid, like 6%, 75 gallons per acre. Uh, was like when I start spray, and this is when I finish spray my trial was pretty much like 1 hour, 1.5 hours after I spray. You see, pretty much you melt the plant very quickly. But it's more recommended like go high rates, not try like go like 25, 30 gallons per acre. I would recommend more than 50, 60 gallons per acre to have a good cover. So again, they are only contact. They're not going to damage anything they don't get in contact. For example, in this plant is prostate spur. You see, like they kind of have like very kind of like a little woody things. Like I sprayed, I just did like a spot application to presentation. Actually, it was not in my trials, but you see, like I spray here, and I never spray on those areas, and they actually never get damaging. And because it was little woody, they never was able to kill the growth point. The plant was just alive, and a few weeks they kind of like fully recover. But like generally speaking, like organic herbicide, you can do a very good job if you have like more like a drip system, because if you spray, they're gonna kind of like recover really quickly with a single application. If you do like a second application, you start get a more like long-term control. But again, I mentioned like in a drip system, you're gonna have a better control because you're not gonna water the whole floor, and you have like gonna have like the top of the soil more dry. Your irrigation is gonna be locked out, specific in one location, and because you're not gonna have like the orchard floor the fully wet, you're not gonna have another germination, like another population germinating very immediately. So after two application, you start to see a better control. Maybe like 2, 3 application, you can gather like enough control through the whole season. So, but again, it's important you know your weed population because some weeds they're gonna emerge very quickly. Even if you do like 1, 2, 3, 4 application, it's just like they just keep coming back. For example, if you have Italian ryegrass, they can do a great job to emerge back after application or field bindweed. You see, like field bindweed, 7 days after germination, they just like it came beautiful. They have like very strong root system. Look, everybody say like a field bindweed, the root stem, the root system go like to the center of the earth, and it's almost true. Like that thing can go like meter deep and more. But some other weeds like prostrate knotweed, you can do a very great job if you have annual weeds like chickweed or corn speed wheel or any like a small annual weeds that have like not like very strong root system. They can be very well controlled with those organic herbicides. Again, like the growth stage is important. For example, it's much more efficient if you go on the early growth stage. For example, here you have little mallow in early stage. You can have a very good control compared when you spray like late stage. You're gonna desiccate and they're gonna recover back. Even like for prostrate knotweed in early stage, you can do like a fantastic job, but after they mature, already very established, they kind of like gonna come back again, and you have to do multiple application. And the other consideration is the cost. Definitely, if you compare with synthetic herbicide, they're a little more expensive. And this is like a big consideration when you decide to use organic herbicide. Uh, this one actually is an organic compound, but it's not certified as organic herbicide side. But Suppress and Axe, they are considered organic herbicide. Primarily Suppress, and Suppress it's very well recommended for food production system. It's the most common product available on the market. So I don't know how long time I have. I'll just go very quickly on next generation precision weed tool available. Um, so we have seen, like, if you guys go like on those agriculture shows, like farming shows, you're gonna see a lot of new technology available on the market, and with the advantage with the AI, we are being able to advantage much more quickly and have like very good equipment available for farmers. And I would expect like on the next few years that is those equipment will be much more available and affordable for farmers. Um, but again, that is a lot of things available. And one of the interesting things, the regulation, it's less when you compare with chemicals. That's kind of like a motivator for all those industry to come up with those new technology. Instead, like herbicide that have so many regulation and risk for the environment. Those technology, it's less regulated, like kind of like a interesting idea for small company start like design new equipment that to serve like our scale of farmers. One example is electrical weed. I know Dr. Brad Hansel in UC Davis has been doing like a lot of work on electrical weed control. It's a great divisor. First, like it's kind of like in still early stage and require a lot of power to generate and kill the weeds, but can do a very great job even in very hard weed to control, like a field bind weed. You can have a very good control. Again, have some fire hazard, especially like on the summer, because you're gonna have some sparkle when you kind of like pass the machine on the field. And you can see here, you can see like some sparkle fire. And if you are like on the summer, actually, you might can start like a fire on your orchard. But like for winter, early spring, it's a great option. Or if you have like a well-managed orchard, you don't have like a high infestation, could be used even in the summer. And those technology actually has been like designed even like for small scale, like for vineyard and small farmers. There is like a lot of like prototype is still like on early phase available. In this case, for laser, we see like on the vegetable crop, like some big machines available for example, Carbono Robotic. They've been doing like some laser stuff like in big scale, but like you start to see like small scale people try like new small equipment with less energy to serve like the small scale farm, and actually can do a fantastic job. Like I have seen this machine in action. Man, it's very impressive to see, and how the computer vision can see your crappie and your weeds and kind of like laser only the weeds. It's very impressive. Steam is not a kind of like a new things. People has been trying to use Steam like for more than 100 years to kill weeds. But I think with the advantage of the technology, we are more close to have like a commercial and more efficient equipment available for farmers that can do a way good job. And also, this one, it's I mentioned because I work with that technology, the pinpoint spray technology. where you can actually shoot individual weed with chemical product, and it could be like synthetic herbicide or organic herbicide. And basically, the machine have a computer vision that's gonna identify your crop and your weeds. It's gonna shoot individual weeds. As you can see here, the nozzle is kind of like movable. It's able to move like 360 degree, almost like the laser, but you're gonna shoot like individual weeds. Actually, I have a nozzle here. I don't know if I have a nice nozzle here. I don't know if the camera it's good to see, but you see like they can move and shoot like individual weeds. It's kind of like a big nozzle. It's not a conventional thing, but it's very interesting technology available. And I know the company are being considered like to build that machine for a small scale farm on a small platform. Actually, I have a small platform more like for research trials here in my lab. I don't use the big machine here because I'm doing a lot of environment control trials. But it's very impressive how you can use like even like organic herbicide, and actually it's a game changer if you're able to use that equipment in a organic crop production, because we're gonna allow to use organic herbicide, because as I mentioned before, organic herbicide is a no selective. For example, if you have annual crop and you spray the whole thing, you're gonna kill everything, your crop and your weeds. But with that technology, you're gonna be able to spray organic herbicide in a selective way, because you're not gonna spray it in your crop. I think it's a interesting technology. Still have a lot of challenges. I have a lot of questions that I've been trying to address in my lab here about this technology, specifically like to use organic herbicide. But it's something like to keep in mind. It's kind of little expense, but I believe over time the price is gonna go down. Um, yeah, it's a very interesting way to kill weeds. So in conclusion, again, organic strategy for weed control is still it's a high demand. There is a lot of limitation in terms of efficacy. For example, when you talk about organic herbicide or only mow strategy, in many cases there are no selective control. For example, like the electrical weeds, they are not selective. Organic herbicide is not selective. If you try use steam, it's no selective. You're gonna kill everything. And again, the cost is still a big barrier for a lot of farmers. All those emerged technology is still very expensive. But I believe over time, as we start getting more machine available, the price is gonna drop, and the industry is start gonna like build machine like to serve large farm and also a small farm. And Yeah, I think I'm done with my talk. I don't know if I passed the time, but I'll take any question. I will appreciate the time.